Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Thursday. It's September 14th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And as usual, I started out with our daily chart here, and you can see we moved to the new contract. This is the December contract, and it doesn't look quite as bullish as last month's contract did. There's still an upward bias here, but you can see we were clearly sideways and broke out. I haven't done a full analysis of this yet, but it looks like to me we were in a range, and let's just see if we made a measured move up. And you can see we just did make a measured move up and turn down from there. And so it looks like we're trying to come back and test those highs again. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But we've just been kind of chopping around here for a week or so, going sideways. So we did break a little higher today. So maybe we'll run on up and test this high, and we'll see what happens from there. We could just be stuck in this tighter range now. But anyway, there's a look at it on the new weekly chart. And somebody posted a comment on the site or on my midday post today asking they didn't quite understand what I was talking about the new chart. Well, every 90 days we have to flip to the current chart, and now we're in the December chart. We flip from September to December. And you can see it looks I wouldn't say it looks quite a lot different, but the other chart was rather bullish up until this sell-off here, and this one does not look nearly as bullish. It looks more sideways with a breakout that made a measured move up. That's what it looks like to me, and now we're just working sideways again. So we'll see what happens, but we're just kind of chopping sideways for now on this chart, so it's not really giving us anything long-term different than just kind of sideways for now. So, and that's what I meant by that comment on that mid-morning chart this morning. For anybody else that might have been confused. But anyway, let's flip over to the 2,000 tick chart. Pretty bullish day. You'll see it when we flip over there. We kind of broke out and trended higher this morning. And here's a look at that 2,000 tick chart. You can see we had a trend up, correction, and then another leg up that actually went more than a measured leg. We turned down right about a measured leg, but we pushed up. A lot of times that'll happen once you get kind of a bullish day. It'll continue to have a bullish overtone to it, which this one does. And you can see that. And we did sell off a little bit of that high, but we took most of it back. And there's still maybe 20 minutes left to go before the market closes today. So it's possible we could close higher or turn down some more. But there's a spiking channel into this blue channel, and that blue channel held all day. So not a lot of trades considering how bullish this is. You didn't get much chance to enter this first move here, unfortunately, but we'll zoom in here and we'll go through the trades and get a closer look at it here. Let's zoom in. Look at this first trend. And we had several news items come out at 7:30. You need to be flat on those. So really you couldn't trade till after 7:30 this morning. And it settled down within 10 minutes or so. And notice you made that low, and then you get a first entry, second entry. So this actually, I don't know which way that broke first, to be absolutely honest. I wouldn't trade it on the engulfing bar regardless because it's such a neutral bar. I'd wait for this to close, but if it breaks above that, I like going long. It's already a failure when it breaks above this one, but I'd wait for that to close, and if it closes bullish, then go with it. If it doesn't, then just ignore it. But as you can see, that closed rather bullish, and this thing takes off, spikes up and goes into a little channel here, and hits the top of this green channel, and you get there's clearly two legs back there. There's a first entry, second entry, third entry, so technically it's a fourth entry by the time it breaks higher. But hopefully most of you can clearly see there's two legs back there. They almost look like perfect measured legs. Let's just measure them. And you can see that basically two measured legs back. I'd treat that like a second entry long on a bigger picture and take that trade. I marked it green. You need to be a little more advanced just to take that as a second entry. But if you see that, it's pretty obvious. You got a leg up and then a two-legged correction. that actually went a little further than just 2 legs before we made yet another leg up. So I like that, taking that as a second entry. And then you got a new low here, and you get a first entry, second entry. So when it breaks higher here, you get a failure. So I like going long above that bar again. There's plenty of room up here. And you notice that's why we always want to make sure there's room to scalp out, because notice how we ran into that resistance at that high and we sold off from there. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm still struggling with this, the leftovers of this COVID. But man, I'm feeling a lot better today, and I'm kind of on the mend now. So I think I'll, hopefully by next week, I'll kind of, I'm still a little weak. I mean, this thing really zaps you this time. I've heard that. The doctor told me that when I went to see him, that that seems to be the main symptom of this one. It just zaps you of all your energy, and man, that's exactly what it did to me. So it just totally wiped me out. But I'm feeling 100% better today. I'm getting stronger again, and I'm on the mend. So anyway, I did not mark this trade. There is a hidden second entry there, and you can see we've come up here and tested this resistance multiple times in that trend line. If you took that, I probably wouldn't argue with you too much. The second entry came here. But by the time this, I mean, it already looks kind of congested. That's why I really didn't like it. You notice all these sideways bars and a couple of dojis with no bodies, and then you get another one, and it just looks too congested to me. I just don't really like it. But it works its way down to the bottom of the channel, bounces, and you get a break here. It's just a first entry up here. It's just an inside bar, so you can't really go short. It does come back down here, and it breaks higher, turns down right off the key entry point, the EMA and the trend line, and turns down. I like trading that on the engulfing bar because it's probably going to trap people. If you waited till it closes, does it close on its lower 1/3? It's real close, maybe. I probably wouldn't take it with that much stem on it. But if you entered on the engulfing bar, I think I'd be okay with that trade. It does work out. You get another lower high here, but it's not. There's nothing to trade there. And then of course we run down and bounce off the lows again. And it runs up. You get a first entry, and then when it breaks lower here, it's a second entry, but there's no setup there. Too sideways, too congested. And then we bounce down here again. I don't recommend trying to go long here yet. Maybe now that you've had a break and a couple of legs to a new low, you might consider riding this back. I mean, it was tempting even right here, but maybe here, really, maybe either one of those, because really you got 2 legs there already. It's just not a measured leg until it maybe makes that one. Then it's pretty close. So either one of those you might take back. You got to be careful trying to pick those bottoms. I think most of you would be better off not to even think about those. But as you get to reading the chart and you understand what prices are doing, sometimes it's worth taking those trades because they often make major bottoms. And of course, this turns out to be the low of the day. And if you catch that, you get a runner. And look how easy that would be to ride that all the way up there. I mean, if you just ride it up until you finally come back to the EMA. I mean, let's just see what that would be. Comes back and finally right here. So there's 18 points. It's $1,000 on a single contract almost. And that's really the only place to enter there. I don't think you want to go along there. And then this is 2 sideways. And then this is just, you really can't enter in that stuff. And then suddenly we turn down. And I marked this one green because we pushed through the midline. You can see that midline there, and we push through the EMA. We come back and we test both of them once, twice, 3 times. It's really a triple test across there and a fairly bearish bar. So maybe you take that one. It's not ideal, but there's reasons to consider that trade, and it would have been a nice trade in the end. And then, of course, it runs down here, and I drew the trend line off those first 2 swings. This was looking like it was sideways. And you can clearly see, turns out to fit well in the end. Midline's working, the upper side's working perfect. We get a little overshoot here and we just reverse. We jump up sideways, nothing there. There's really no way to enter any of this going up here. Come back here, you get a first entry, and then when it breaks higher here, you get a second entry long. You could enter that on the engulfing bar when it comes by, or you can wait for it to close. Either way. And runs up to the upper side. This is a pretty strong trend here now, and everything's pointing up. I'd be careful going short here until you know you're on the other side of this EMA, and even then, you may not want to go short now. But you can see it's just kind of flattening out across here. So we drop off that high side, turn back down, and notice the new low, and you get a first entry, second entry right off the EMA. Again, we test that underneath the midline 3 times there. So I kind of like that trade. I think that's the only short other than the green one I marked there. They're both very similar. It's almost a repeat right there. And of course, it doesn't go much further lower, and it turns up again. And then you're just working sideways. We do get a close outside. We are working sideways, but notice how this close out the top, and notice how we tried to go lower 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and you get a triple test of that midline. If it breaks above that, we're probably going higher. So I like that trade. Runs up. We don't quite get back up to the highs again. We make a lower high here, but you don't want to trade out of that little congested area. And of course, it drops straight down into 230, and that pretty much does it for the day. So just no chance to really get in that trade either. This actually broke higher first, so if it would have went out the other side all in one bar, I'd probably say trade that on an engulfing bar. But I wouldn't want to go short below those 3 bar matching lows. Even though you know prices are probably at least headed back to the EMA, it could easily tick below and turn up one more time because we didn't quite get to the upper side still. We didn't, notice we came off the high here and we came up short, but then we came up short up here too. So we were overdue really to come back down, but you don't know that we're through to the upside yet because we haven't got back up there either. So it's really tough to know right in there. You just have to get a little trend and then hope you get a setup off that trend. And that's how I saw it. Another reason I like this short too right here was because we'd made our measured move, and there was a good chance we might roll over here. It didn't end up happening, but that's a possibility. So there it is again at a higher look. Again, we had a leg up with lots of smaller legs. Then we had this correction, and from there we had a second leg up, and we ended up going higher than even a measured move there. So a lot of times with this second leg starts up, that starting point will be the middle of the pattern, and you'll get at least a measured leg up, sometimes more. If you don't make it, then you'll probably sell off harder again. But that's how I saw it today, and we did get through the week. It was a struggle for me at times, but I've made it to Thursday. I will be in the morning. I'm probably going to trade again in the morning. If I'm feeling as good as I do today, probably trade again tomorrow. Trade for a couple hours, but I'll probably cut out of here at noon and get the heck out of here. So, but we'll be back Monday. And so anyway, I'm done with the chart lessons for this week. We'll wrap it up for today. I'll see you Monday. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.